Everyone, welcome back to Newsroom. If you're new to the channel, welcome to this channel. I'm glad you're here. Newsroom, I'm Chella Smith. This is your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Friday. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review and it's based off my interests. That's why I keep showing up every week. This morning was a little crazy here in the studio. We discussed that on my live. God looked out for us though, and he helped the technicians kick those hackers off and reset us so we're back up and running. We still have a little bit of things that we're trying to work out. Last week that we were here, we talked about the budget being nearly ready, and while on vacation, Iraq stepped up and approved the budget. Congratulations to all those that worked diligently around the clock to make that happen. We talked about the Arab Summit speech. Biden signed an executive orders, 22 stations of the Iraqi railways projects, collecting taxes and customs, the bank's POS going dark due to changes in the central bank system, and the energy files. Make sure you're subscribed and turn those notification bells on so that way when I'm live or when I have newly released shows, you're in the know. If you don't mind, tap the like button so that way others like yourself can find us. It definitely helps the algorithms. It's so great to be back. God is good. Now let's take a look at this week's headlines. Economics Alpha News reports the Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani announces that the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, has become one of the most important international organizations. At the OPEC celebration in Baghdad, OPEC is a witness to the oil transformation in the countries, and oil is still an important economic source in the world. Al-Sudani says OPEC's responsibility does not end in export process, but reaches the process of price regulations. The entry of natural gas into oil markets has added new responsibilities to OPEC's countries. He stresses that Iraq depends on oil as the main supplier of economy, and we have signed important contracts for gas investments. He says we will sign the 6th round of gas investments, saying that they have made room for the private sector and provide facilities a priority, noting that the alternative energy will be competitive with oil gas in the future. Euphrat News reports the Parliamentary Finance Committee announced the arrival of the financial budget law to the President of the Republic for the purpose of approving it. After months of difficult labor, the House of Representatives voted on the country's general financial budget for the year 2023, 24, and 2025 after a series of sessions held by the Council that began last Thursday and extended until the early dawn hours of this past Monday. The budget needs formal approval from the Presidency of the Republic within 15 days after publication and the official fact sheet to be effective. The current budget is the largest in the history of Iraq, with a value of about $153 billion per year, and the Kurdistan region will enjoy an estimated rate of 12.6, with a large financial deficit of about $48 billion annually, which is the highest and more than doubled than the deficit record in the last budget for year 2021, when it reached $19.7 billion, which is considered by observers as dangerous, alarm that will surprise the current government in the event of a decline in oil prices, which record at a rate of 70 per barrel in this budget. Baghdad Magazine News reports the Emir of Qatar expressed Thursday his country's intentions to invest $5 billion in a number of sectors within Iraq in the coming years. This came on the sidelines of an official visit he made to Iraq, according to Qatar news agencies Quina. In the joint press conference with Iraq's Prime Minister, he stressed the country's continuing support for Iraq and its people, stressing his visit to Baghdad reflects the depth of brotherly and closely relations between the two countries and its desires to strengthen them in various fields. The Emir of Qatar said that he invites the Iraqi people to attend the Asian Football Cup, which will be held in Qatar January 12th through February 10th, 2024. For his part, the Iraqi Prime Minister, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, noted at the press conference that Qatar will remain one of the strongest allies and partners in the region and maintain a leading example of how sustainable energy industry can be maintained, pointing out that the discussions were with Qatar and They talked with him about security and information cooperation to maintain security and stability of the region. The Emir of Qatar and the Iraqi Prime Minister witnessed the signing of the Air Transport Service Agreement between the governments of their countries and the Maritime Transport Agreement between the governments of Qatar and Iraq, as well as the signing of a joint declaration of intent between the two countries, as well as a memorandum of understanding on canceling travel visa requirements for diplomatic passport holders between the government of Qatar and Iraq. On the sideline of the visit, of a number of agreements and memorandums of the understandings were also signed by the representatives and the private sector between the two sides in the fields of infrastructure, tourism, and health. The Emir of Qatar is the first Arab leader to visit Iraq in the government of Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani. The Minister of Commerce confirms the existence of a broad government movement to fulfill the requirements for Iraq's ascension into the World Trade Organization, while indicating that the files of financial contribution to the organization was settled. The media office said in a statement to the news agency that the Minister of Commerce is working to fill the requirements through the chairmanship of ministers. Athir al-Ghari of the National Committee concerned with joining the World Trade Organization noted that the requirements are related to goods and services, the agriculture file, and modernization of customs systems. He added, "We have recently worked with the General Authority to complete the modernization of customs systems in preparation for settling definition for the provisions of tariff laws in order to negotiate them with the organization." Also adding, the coordination is underway with the Iraqi private sector and the Kurdistan region for the purpose of unifying the files related to the requirements that have been referred to and then submitted them to the organization, noting that work is underway to prepare the Iraqi negotiation team and build the capacities of the negotiators technically and linguistically for the purpose of initiating negotiation rounds for the member states. He stated the march of Iraq's ascension to the organization was not affected by the international events, but by the delay in approving the general budget for Iraq. The pace of work and coordination within the organization due to the delay in paying the annual contribution occurred by Iraq as an observer member. He pointed out, with the direct follow-up of the Ministers of Commerce, chairman of the National Committee, and the coordination with the Minister of Finance, the files of the financial contributions occurred by Iraq to the organization has been settled and is paid in full. Economy News Baghdad reports the Iraqi Trade Bank and JPMorgan discuss the development of mechanisms of the banking operations. The bank's media experts said in a statement that the president of the Iraqi Trade Bank and chairman of the board of directors met with the vice president of JPMorgan Bank and also his entourage and a number of bank advancement team. He also added that the parties deliberated on long-term practical relations between the two banks and the ways to develop the mechanisms of banking operations in general implemented by the Iraqi Trade Bank through JPMorgan Bank. He says, "Our banks seek to provide all facilities for foreign trade financing operations, in addition to supporting and developing industrial and service projects and providing banking services to the government institutions and the private sector companies in support of directives of the Prime Minister, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, to advance the country's economy and to provide best services to the Iraqi citizens according to the best available methods and means within international standards, which reflect positively in the Iraqi economy." Trade Bank of Iraq and JPMorgan discussed developing banking operations. And you've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith, your Middle East U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics Iraq. I try to bring you all the latest dinar news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. You can just lay your phone down and let me play. I'm here on YouTube every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. If you like my content, you can leave me a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can always leave a super chat or a super thanks in the comments. Thank you for the donation today. That was really nice of you. It's Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Father's Day to all those fathers out there, and grandfathers and stepfathers, and to men who step up and play that responsible role for a child who needs a father. And of course, the women who play the roles of mom and father. Pat yourself on the back. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers that are no longer with us. We truly are missing those missing fathers and grandfathers. I hope everyone has a beautiful weekend. Again, thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted Dinar News. This week was a challenge to record today's news, but I showed up anyway. It's great to be back. Take care. Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith Entertainment News.